Hello, sports fans, and welcome to the Scott Sports 101 AFC NFC Championship games recap show. Since we didn't get to do one Sunday, this will be just to recap them and just to get ready for the Super Bowl. We'll talk about both games, and I'll let you know who's in the Super Bowl. But first, here is today's Scott Sports 101, and it's an NFC Championship trivia question. And it is a line to what years did the Lions win back-to-back championships? I'll have the answer later in the podcast. I will have it. Well, we had quite a weekend with both the AFC and NFC championship games, uh, and uh, and now the Super Bowl is set, and I'll recap both games. And once we've done that, I'll tell you who was in Super Bowl 58. In the AFC Championship game, the Kansas City Chiefs are on their way to the big one in Las Vegas as they beat the Baltimore Ravens 17-10 at M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore, Maryland. It's the Chiefs' fourth time in 5 years back in the Super Bowl. And boy, this was kind of a low-scoring game. The first quarter was vintage Patrick Mahomes picking apart the Baltimore defense with quick passes, and Travis Kelce on the other end of several of them. Then the Kansas City defense, now elite after some shaky seasons in the past, took over. Finally, when Mahomes needed one more completion to send the Chiefs back to the Super Bowl, he went deep to Marquez Valdez, uh, Scantling, whose struggles this season were emblematic and of the team's uh, Melgen receiving group. Complete for 32 yards, and that was the ball game. The Chiefs are still the Chiefs, Kelce said emphatically. After all the moments this season when they looked disjointed and vulnerable, the Chiefs are headed back to the Super Bowl for the fourth time in 5 years, as I mentioned. Mahomes and Kelce, excuse me, were at their magnificent best in the first half, and Kansas City's defense delivered another masterpiece against Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, leading the Chiefs to a 17-10 victory in the AFC Championship on this past Sunday. Kelce caught 11 passes for 116 yards, a touchdown, and now the big question at next month's Super Bowl in Las Vegas is whether his girlfriend Taylor Swift will be able to make it there in the middle of her tour. The pop star was on hand again Sunday, and it was a milestone day for the 34-year-old Kelce, who surpassed Jerry Rice's career record for postseason receptions. Kansas City, who was 14-6, will face the San Francisco 49ers on February 11th, and a victory would make the Chiefs the first team to win it all in back-to-back seasons since the New England Patriots 19 years ago. Swift's presence has turned the Chiefs into even more of a glamour team than they already were, but it's been uh, it's uh, it's been more of a blue-collar performance on the field this season. Aside from Kelce, Mahomes' playmakers haven't been as threatening as in years past. Only once this season has Kansas City scored more than 31 points and a home loss on Christmas to the Las Vegas Raiders on the same day. Baltimore made a statement with a win at San Francisco seemed to indicate that the Chiefs' days at top of the AFC were numbered. Not so fast. Playing on the road in the playoffs for the first time with Mahomes, the Chiefs beat Buffalo and Baltimore in back-to-back weeks to win the conference. And I never doubted, no, Coach Andy Reid said, That's not how we roll. The Chiefs led 17-7 at halftime, and Justin Tucker's 43-yard field goal with 2:34 to play was the only scoring of the second half. Baltimore kicked deep after that, and on 3rd and 9, Mahomes connected with Valdez Scantling, who held on and knew exactly what that catch meant. "We're going to the Super Bowl," he said. "That was it. I knew we needed one first down us to get us to the goal, and they trusted me to go and get one." Mahomes went 30 of 39 for 241 yards and a touchdown. Jackson could win his second MVP after leading Baltimore to the league's best record and point differential during the regular season, but the Ravens allowed touchdowns on the first two Kansas City possessions and appeared a bit panicky at times after that. Baltimore was 14-5 on the season, made undisciplined mistakes all game, while Kansas City looked the part of the team making its sixth straight appearance in the conference title game. With the Ravens down by 10 in the third quarter, rookie Zay Flowers caught a 54-yard pass to the KC 10, then was flagged for taunting after the play. Moments later, he fumbled near the goal line, and the Ravens ended up with no points. That was one of several frustrating moments for Baltimore fans whose city was hosting an AFC Championship game for the first time since January 1971, when the Colts beat the Oakland Raiders. Jackson went 20 of 37 for 272 yards and a touchdown, but Baltimore never really exploded its persevered advantage on the ground. Jackson raced under one of his own tipped passes in the first half for a 13-yard reception, but he also turned the ball over twice, including a forced pass into a heavy coverage that was picked off in the end zone with 6:45 left in the game. Once it was clear, uh, once it was clear, uh, clear defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo had the upper hand against the Baltimore Ravens. Mahomes was happy to manage the game and avoid doing anything too risky. Sprags, it seems like when games get bigger, when the challenges get higher, he performs even better, Mahomes said. Jackson fell to 2-4 as a starter in the postseason, despite having been the top seed in the AFC twice. He made a few sensational individual players, but the Ravens had trouble moving the ball otherwise. The guy was the main guy I was playing for. Honestly, was Ravens linebacker Patrick Queen. Patrick Queen said, "So much stuff he gets that he doesn't deserve. This was his opportunity to be able to write some of that stuff off and move on to the next thing. That's why it hurts, because you want to see people like that, teammates that you love and care about, get what they're supposed to get." Mahomes, meanwhile, completed his first 11 pass attempts, and although the Ravens largely shut Kansas City down after the damage was done on a rainy day in Baltimore, there was some chippy behavior before the game, which included Ravens defensive back Arthur Mollett and a group of Kansas City players having to be separated. Then the Chiefs forced a 3-and-out on the game's first drive and went 86 yards for the opening touchdown. Kels caught a 13-yard pass from Mahomes over the middle on 4th and 2, and then the star tight end beat all-pro safety Kyle Hamilton for a 19-yard touchdown to make it 7-0. Jackson answered in his own spectacular way. He broke free for a 21-yard run when Baltimore went for it on 4th and 1 from its 34. Then the star quarterback ducked out of a near sack by Leo Chenal, retreated a bit further back, and threw a 30-yard scoring strike to Flowers, who celebrated with teammates by doing a swag surf with dance that Swift and Chiefs fans did at a recent game. Kansas City was unbothered by Mahomes, drove his team 75 yards in 9.2 seconds with the help of with 9:02 left in the game, with the help of an acrobatic diving catch by Kels on one third down on 1/3 down toss. Pecco capped the 16-yard play march with a 2-yard touchdown run. The Chiefs actually missed chances to extend their lead. A sack by Charles Omenu forced a fumble by Jackson that gave KC the ball at the Baltimore 33, but Kelsey was marked just short on a 3rd down catch, and Pecco was stopped on the amusing 4th down at the 13. After a couple of personal fouls on Baltimore helped KC across midfield late in the half, the Chiefs were flagged for back-to-back holding calls, the second of which wiped out a 33-yard screen pass to Rashee Rice that would have been a touchdown. A 9-yard pass to Kelsey put KC in position for Harrison Butker's 52-yard field goal that made it 17-7. The Harbaugh brothers came up short in their attempt to sweep the college and pro championships after Jim Harbaugh coached Michigan to a national title, and Jim, who left the Wolverines to become the coach of the Los Angeles Chargers, was at the game Sunday. John Harbaugh said he was still proud of Baltimore's season. I feel like it was a team that had a lot of challenges. I don't think it was a team that was too highly touted coming into the season by the pundits and the prognosticators, and all that. I think that proved a lot of people wrong all year. He said the quarterback made a statement. Now, there were some injuries. Omenu left with a knee injury, and star defensive tackle Chris Jones was shaken up in the 4th quarter for the Chiefs. And those are only Baltimore did not have any, I don't think, injuries. Now up next, the Chiefs have not played the 49ers in the Super Bowl played the 49ers this season. This will be a rematch of the Super Bowl 4 years ago, Super Bowl 54, which Kansas City won 31-20. And I think Kansas City will take it again this year. I don't see them losing to San Francisco. Now, for the Ravens, Baltimore knows it. It can win a lot of games with Jackson and his talented supporting cast, but getting past the Chiefs seems like an especially daunting task. And if they couldn't do it this season, then they were not able to do it. But Baltimore, I feel, will be back. I think they will. So, I give Baltimore credit, but I got to tip my hat to the Chiefs. They are back in the Super Bowl for the 4th time in 5 years. We'll get to the NFC Championship game in just a moment. Right now, it is time to reveal the answer to today's Scott Sports 101 trivia question, which is a Lions trivia question, NFC one, Championship one. What years did the Lions win back-to-back NFL championships? If you said 1952 and 1953, you are correct. In 1952, quarterback Bobby Lane led the Lions to their first NFL championship in 17 years. He did so again in 53 for back-to-back league titles. They fell short of a three-peat in 1954 when they lost 56 to 10 to the Cleveland Browns in the NFL Championship game, a loss which Lane explained by saying, "I slept too much last night." So, and I will have another trivia question on my next podcast, so stay tuned for that. Uh, uh, well, now we will move on to the NFC Championship game. And in the NFC Championship game, the Lions had a 17-point lead. They let slip away and had a slip away in the second half as the San Francisco 49ers beat the Detroit Lions 34 to 31 at Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara, California. They're on their way to the big one. They got their ticket by beating them. And I will say, boy, they rallied. And the 49ers really rallied. Brock Purdy on the San Francisco 49ers were on the brink, needing a spark to overcome a big deficit and would avoid their third straight loss in a conference title game. Brandon Ayuk delivered an improbable catch that helped save San Francisco's season. Purdy's 51-yard pass that deflected off a defender's face mask into Ayuk's hands helped the Niners rally from 17 points down at halftime to beat the Detroit Lions 34 to 31 this past Sunday and to reach the Super Bowl. The 49ers were 14-5 on the season, scored 17 points in an 8-minute span of the third quarter to tie the NFC Championship game, and then pulled away in the fourth quarter to win a rematch against the Kansas City Chiefs after losing to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl 4 years ago. No one was rah-rah, Purdy said. No one was freaking out. It's football. There's a lot of experienced guys on this team, veteran guys who have been crazy in crazy situations. We were just like, we have to do our job. San Francisco mounted the fourth quarter comeback ever from 17 points down or more in a conference title game, thanks to some big plays by Purdy and bad mistakes from the Lions, who were 14-6 on the season, including two fourth downs in field goal range. And Detroit fell short of reaching their first Super Bowl in franchise history. "We are not going out like this," Coach Kyle Shanahan said of the mindset at halftime. "Guys didn't want today to be their last day. We put ourselves in a hole. They played like it in the second half, and we were able to get the ball to bounce the right way, and we made up for what we did not do in the first half." After being questioned about whether he could lead a comeback, Purdy has now done it twice in as many weeks. He engineered a game-winning drive in the fourth quarter to beat Green Bay the previous week, and then had an even bigger comeback against the Lions. He finished with 265 yards passing and a touchdown, along with 48 yards rushing, thanks to a pair of 21-yard scrambles. Now that the last pick of the 2022 draft will be starting in the Super Bowl against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. All he's done since he's been here is play at an elite level. Running back Christian McCaffrey said, "Everything starts with him. We're lucky he's our quarterback. He takes a lot of heat for absolutely no reason." McCaffrey had two touchdown runs and little used backup Elijah Mitchell, excuse me. He used backup Elijah Mitchell and scored on a 3-yard run to make it 34 to 24 with 3:02 to play as the Niners got over the conference title game hump after losing the past two seasons. The Niners, there's been some unfinished business for a while. Man, our team was set out for this a long time, Shanahan said. It's been a long year to get to this point, and we got it done today. It was hard at the beginning, but the character we have in our team, the type of guys we have, we can't wait to get to Vegas, man. The Niners blew a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter of the NFC Championship game against the Los Angeles Rams 2 years ago, and then were forced to play much of last year's title game lost at Philly without functioning quarterback after Purdy injured his elbow on the opening drive. And fourth quarter stinger, Josh Johnson left with a concussion early in the third quarter. But San Francisco managed to make the long journey back to the stage. Now it is in position to deliver the franchise its record-tying sixth straight Super Bowl title and first since the 1994 season. A magical season for the Lions ended in a heartbreak. Detroit remains the only team in play every season of the Super Bowl era without reaching the ultimate game. This looked like it could be the year to end that drought when Detroit won back-to-back playoff games after winning just one in the previous 56 seasons. But the Lions couldn't finish the job despite holding a 24-7 lead at halftime. And boy, they could not get that lead back. It had slipped away. It really did in that fourth quarter. And I gotta tell you, it just was not. It was just a hard line. It hurt for Lions fans. When you lose that way, it's hard. It's hard, Coach Dan Campbell said it. You feel like you get your heart ripped out, but I'm proud of that group, and I'll go anywhere with that group. San Francisco settled for a field goal on the opening drive of the second half before the game completely flipped in a 4-minute span. Campbell opted to go for it on 4th and 2 from the San Francisco 28, but Josh Reynolds couldn't hold onto a pass from Jared Goff, leading to a turnover on downs. The Lions then seemed to have a potential interception when Purdy's deep pass bit Kendall Fielder in the face mask, but the ball popped up and was caught for a spectacular 51-yard gain by Elliott. When I saw him catch that, I was like, that's insane, Purdy said. Purdy found Elliott 3 plays later for a 6-yard score, but before the game, a ladybug landed on my shoe, and you all know what that means, Elliott said. That's all I can say. Other than that, I don't know. Johnny Gibbs then fumbled on the next play from scrimmage, setting up a 1-yard run by McCaffrey to tie the game at 24. It only got worse from there for the Lions, with Reynolds dropping another pass on third down, leading to a punt that Detroit had a chance to down at the 1, but botched. Purdy then drove the Niners to a 33-yard field goal by Jake Moody and their first lead of the game. Momentum certainly changed pretty quickly, Goff said. They scored. We didn't convert on the fourth down. They scored again. We turned the ball over. That little sequence right there makes it tough. Campbell bypassed a chance at a game-tying field goal on 4th and 3 from the Niners 30 midway through the fourth quarter. Goff threw an incomplete pass, and the Niners drove to the insurance touchdown. Goff added a TD pass to Jameson Williams with 56 seconds to play, but the 49ers recovered the onside kick to seal the win. Goff finished 25 for 41 for 273 yards and a touchdown. San Francisco heralded front seven had no answer in the first half for Detroit's offensive line, which repeatedly opened up big holes, giving the back several yards even before the first contact. The Lions ran for 148 yards in the first half, getting TD runs from Williams and David Montgomery and Gibbs. Michael Bagley added a late field goal to give Detroit a 24-7 lead at the half and tied for the second biggest scoring output for a road team in the first half of a conference title game since the NFL AFL merger. But it slipped away for them, and they end up uh, losing, and it hurt, and it was a tough loss for the fans as well. But I'm going to say this: Detroit had a great season. I'm proud of them, and I think they're going to be back next year. They will be back. Dan Campbell's not gonna rule that out. They're I think they will be back. So I really feel that they won. I tip my hat. I give credit to the Lions, but I tip my hat to the 49ers because they're on their way to Vegas. So so I give them and right now, and I took both. I took Baltimore to win. I took Detroit, and I lost both of them. So I was 0-2 on my picks this week on my conference championship game picks. And the Super Bowl 58 is set. It will be the San Francisco 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs at Alliance Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada on Sunday, February 11th, 2024 on CBS. Kickoff is at 6:30 p.m. And R&B singer Usher will headline the halftime show, and Reba McEntire will sing the national anthem before the game. Now, as I mentioned, kickoff is at 6:30, but before that, as you know, I always do my Super Bowl pregame show, and my special edition of Scott Sports 101, which is my pregame show leading up, continuously podcasting, and leading up to kickoff of the Super Bowl, which will be Super Bowl 58. And you know it all starts when I do that. It's called Super Bowl 101. I'll be starting that at 11 a.m. on Sunday, February 11th. And I will go up until kickoff at 6:30. So look for some great moments in Super Bowl history. We'll talk about the game, what we expect. And I'm going with Kansas City. I can't see them losing to the 49ers again. So we'll talk about the game, what we expect, and we'll look at some great moments in Super Bowl history, and we'll look back at some great plays in Super Bowl history, and we'll do a lot more. I got a lot, and we'll reflect on the season as well. And this has been a great season, and it's been kind of an interesting one as well. We'll reflect on it, and we'll do a whole lot more. You'll get a whole lot more, and I'm looking forward to it. So, yeah, tune in on Sunday, February 11th at 11, beginning at 11 a.m. for Super Bowl 101. Well, that's just about going to wrap it up for the Scott Sports 101 AFC NFC Championship recap show. And I'll be back with one of my regular podcasts later in the week. But until then, always remember, be a team player each and every day in every way possible. So long, everybody. 3, 2, 1. I'm done.